right, and here is another great version of Snarl. He does suffer from the, or not suffer, but he does benefit a little bit from the Snarl factor, in that he is a Snarl, and I am collecting Snarls. If you see my Twitter, you've seen I put him in the group with all the other Snarls on my shelf. But yeah, this is SEVER from FansToys, part of their Iron Dibots line. This is a test shot. There will be a few things changed on the final, just so you know that. But all in all, this is already a very solid figure. My one minor issue, and it is a minor issue with Dinosaur Mode, is that just kind of up here, he does look a little, it's like there's the bottom of his body. He looks a little stretched from how I picture Snarl. Not to a degree that he doesn't look like Snarl. I mean, he's big, shiny gold and red and gray Stegosaurus. And when you see how the transformation works, you'll get it. I think a lot of it is how the head folds up. So you can see that there's kind of this double joint here that folds in half, and that gives him just a little bit of thickness out to his neck, whereas if the head sat back a little closer to the body, maybe it wouldn't look quite so off. He does have a little bit, instead of having more of a round down, he does kind of down and out like that. Which, like I said, just gives him a slightly elongated look. It's not the end of the world. He does have, you can see there's a nice big raised area here on his head in the rough shape of an Autobot logo. So if you got a decent sized repro label and sliced it down the middle, you could have a very large sized Autobot logo there on his head, which is kind of nice. So yeah, he's got the gold chrome. His head does turn back and forth. His mouth does open and close. You hear it click there. Which is cool, and his head can look up and down just due to that transformation hinge, if you so want. His tail has a couple joints in it, so you got the joint here and then another joint here, so you can get some pretty decent range of motion in his tail. Maybe not as much as a real Stegosaur, but you get a good decent range of motion there, depending on how you want to pose him. Other than that, he's like a big solid chunk. He's got like a, can't tell if it's just a ball joint. It is a ball joint. There's a little bit of rotation hinge from the transformation, but it is actually on a ball joint. It's a little limited, again, by just the size of all the material around the joint itself, but he does have a ball joint there. He's got a swivel there in the front thigh. You can kind of see the cut there. I don't want to... There we go. You can see the swivel in the front leg. A hinge there, a little ratcheting hinge, and then his foot does rotate. It actually has a little give side to side. I wouldn't want to push it too far because I don't want to break it, but it does have a hinge there as well. The back foot, he's got a little hinge here that's mostly for the transformation, but he does have some side to side motion in his rear feet as well, which is nice. A knee joint here as well as the joint up here, which isn't a ball joint, but you can see it does ratchet out a little bit. It's mostly for the arm articulation in robot mode. But yeah, a good, solid, nice, chunky Stegosaurus. Now, to transform, he's actually a much more involved transformation than your basic Snarl. You think it'd be easy, like Gutter did a very G1-esque transformation, and there's nothing wrong with that. This guy has a few more steps, and it's actually fairly creative in how it gets some of the pieces where they need to go. He does have the tech detailing here on his legs where they would normally fold up and sit in. On this one, his legs only fold inside. I do kind of like I do still like them on the outside, I think, as a preference, but it is kind of neat how they get everything to work. So you start up here, you want to split the whole front half of the body. You can see the head splits apart there, and he's got these are his head turning joints that kind of sandwich above each other in there. So you fold the leg out. I actually want to bring the head up, lift it up, and then you can see there's kind of a clip right here that you want to unclip. And bring that down like that, which will allow the leg to come down like that, and then rotate it right here at this thigh joint. And I'll do the same on this side as well. Unclip the head there. Flip this down. There we go. And rotate it there at that thigh joint. Can I just flip that out? Oh, there we go. Just push the legs in. Slide them in like that to be straight. Rotate the waist right here. Here, nice and ratchety right there. Now, the dinosaur leg, you pull this whole rear assembly on the leg up here right behind the knee. This whole thing hinges up. This leg folds down. you want to kind of bend it like that, because it's going to sit, when you fold this back into place, this should sit down here in this cavity. Just like that. See how it sits kind of right up against the front of the leg there. It just kind of folds in and sits up like that. And this space right here is where the head's going to fold in. So on the head, bring this down, bring this hinge down, fold the head in, and it folds in and sits, close the mouth, and it sits in there right there behind the leg. Just like that. And you can push that down to flatten it out. And that's the inside of the leg right there. Same thing on this side. Pull the leg in, bring it down, rotate the knee back like that. Bring it in and just kind of, like I said, just kind of push it up to fill in that gap up here in the leg itself. It's kind of like that. Again, you can flatten that foot up to fill in that gap as well. So flatten the foot in, bring the head down. You rotate it out like this, bring this whole panel down, close the jaw, and just get it to fit right in there. There's even like a curved little indent here for where that Autobot symbol, the logo symbol bit is. You can see it fits it just nicely. Now the way this all moves, there it is possible you might you want to be careful doing this because you don't want to scuff up the chrome. This is a test shot. It already has a few tiny little scuffs on it in a few places. Nothing major. I think as long as you don't just kind of cram it all in there, you should be fine. But just something to keep an eye on. Like I said, there's a hinge here and a hinge here, so you can kind of pull that panel out and set it so it sits more flush with the outer leg if you wish. And that's his lower body done. Straighten his legs up here. So you can stand. And we'll come up here to the top half. And this is where it gets even more interesting from a dinosaur standpoint. So the legs, the first thing you want to do is pull this foot down and open this up. And inside is his fist. So you flip his fist out, close that up. Now these panels right here, there's a latch on the front. There's an overlapping latch you got to undo here. Pull up this side first. You can see this has a tab that plugs into here. And open that, and then these panels come, you have to kind of pull them around past the, that's the only real scary part of this, is you kind of have to pull these out to get over this hump here. Sorry, that lowered down a little bit more than I thought. But so yeah, so this panel right here comes past this, and then rotates around, and same with this one. And once that's done, you close these two flaps. You can see there's the slot for this tab. Around the hand, and then this piece kind of folds up under the arm, just like that. And then you rotate it here at the shoulder joint. This is, again, I went too low. I'm sorry for that. So yeah, so you once you flip the hand out, you take this piece and fold it up here, and then you rotate it right here at this shoulder joint. So dealing with big guys like this, I apologize for keeping that. I'm trying to be more conscious of keeping everything on screen, because I know sometimes I go off, and just when you're dealing with big guys like this, it's kind of hard to get down there because the camera's kind of pointed up and I'm sitting above. Anyway, just a thing. So same on this side. We'll show it again on this side. Undo these latches here. Come on. There we go. Open that up. Once you've got that up, lift this up, flip his fist out, which actually moves fairly easily. I like how easy it is to flip the fist out. Sometimes some toys like this that have had, here you can kind of see a little bit of a scuff mark there on the gold. It's something that you're not going to see normally, but because the foot's going to cover it, but it is there. And then rotate, close that up, rotate these panels down around like this, and same for the inside. We'll rotate this one this way since the hinge is there, and then close up the one with the slot first, and then flip the tab in. Line them up, and then bring this piece to sit up on the back of the arm, and then rotate it again at the shoulder joint, or at the bicep joint. And you can kind of see how he's coming together here in the upper body. Now up here, I'm going to open up these. Actually, first you want to lift up the tail. You got to lift this piece up because the tail is a separate piece, and then these two side pieces are actually attached to this piece. So you've got to unpeg. You can kind of see where it snaps on there. So you lift up these side pieces here, and then this whole assembly comes up. And then these pieces right here open up. Let's see if I can get a little bit more like that. So you open up the shoulder pieces, open them up like this. And then the tail comes down. You want to split the tail like you're used to with the snarl figure. These fold in like this. You got to lift this up here. The tail pieces, actually, you can see this hinge right here. You lift it, you click this up a few times. Maybe it's just one position, but you click that up. Click that up. A lot going on here. And pull push this around down to the back. You want to open this up, the chest piece, and flip his head out. Close that up. And then these pieces right here, you can see this goes in here like this, and then this folds in to the body, inside the body like that. It helps if you fold this piece in first when doing the second one. You can do it first on both sides, but it helps if you have that folded in, because then you don't have any conflict here when you fold this in around it. If you have them both sticking out, it's a little hard to do. If you fold this in first, you won't be able to fold that piece in, is what I'm saying. So these pieces come in and collapse into the chest, and then you can see these slots right here. You fold the tail back down, the tail, or actually the tail back down into place, and that locks the whole torso together. You can see here that hinge is now sitting there, locking the whole torso together, and then you fold these pieces in like this, and then this whole assembly comes down and sits onto his back like that. I mean, there's actually a little hinge here to give a little bit more motion, freedom to get around pieces when you're folding this stuff up. But this folds in and sits on his back like that. You can lower that down. And you can have that sit however you want. I do wish this collapsed maybe a little closer into his back, but that's all there is to it. And you just position his tail however you want. You can use those joints. And there is SEVER in robot mode. He's got a waist joint there. He's got those aforementioned shoulder joints, ratcheting this way and this way. Bicep swivel, dual hinged elbows, so you got a lot of range of motion there. He's got a wrist swivel. He's got individually articulated fingers here at both the first knuckle and here at the palm. On all of his fingers, as well as a ball jointed thumb. If you play with any Masterpiece figures, you've got a pretty good idea of how those hands work. Let's kind of come down here a little bit. He's got the waist. These panels can flip out of the way on both the front and the sides to give him a lot more range of motion there in the hip, which is a universal hip there. It ratchets forward to back, and you just kind of hear it squeak a little bit there, but it does ratchet this way. He's got the thigh swivel, and he's got just a single knee hinge there, and of course he's got a little bit of range of movement that way just because of the transformation. Now I saw somebody mention that he doesn't have ankle tilts, but he kind of does because the whole foot doesn't tilt, but this gold piece you can see comes around here. I guess, oh, and you can fold this up. There you go, like that. I forgot to show that. Connect this whole plate. So you've got this whole plate right here that does tilt, so you can get him in a flat, he's got a flat surface down there to support him at wider stances, which is nice. Built into the thing. We'll go ahead and flip this out as well. And like I said, you've got that range of motion there in the foot on that side as well. So all in all, he's very solid. He's very cool. I do wish. I think my one issue here is up here on his face. Let's get on here. Focus on his face here. His eyes are a little on the small side, I think. They have said they're going to be working on that. That's something they are going to increase the size of the eyes. I wish his mouth were a little smaller. I've seen somebody else mention that. I think Maz over on TF Source mentioned that. It'd be nice if that weren't quite as wide of a pout. He will have a second face, from what I understand, that did not come with this test shot. So there'll be that option as well. Probably a growly face like the other one came with. He does also, you can see he's got a nice flat surface there to put a sticker if you would choose. And all in all, like he's very sturdy. He's very hefty. We'll get to some size comparisons. Like despite being shorter than Gutter, he weighs a little bit more. He's a little heftier. I don't know if it's just more die cast or if the die cast parts in here are more substantial than the ones on Gutter, but he is a heavier robot. Good. Open up his hands here. He does come with a sword and a pistol or a rifle. There's a button right here. I don't have the right batteries for this at the moment, but he does have a little pistol that will light up. You can see a light up tip there, as well as the sword also has, you unscrew it, put the batteries in, a little button there that will cause the sword to light up. Now he does have, I remember Scoria being a little in the same vein, but like getting him to hold the sword, like the tab is there, and maybe they made that smaller so you didn't chip off the chrome, but the tab doesn't hold by itself. Once you get the tab in the hand and wrap the fingers around it, the fingers are actually very tight, and once you get the fingers around it, he'll hold that weapon just fine. But it doesn't peg the way that a lot of these pegs work. Getting the gun, you have to have the fingers kind of at a different angle because of this piece right here. You got to put them in there so you can get the tab into the right position without doing that. And this tab holds a little bit better than the sword does. It still likes to. It's almost too tight and it pushes itself out. But again, once you got those fingers wrapped around it, he holds it just fine. So yeah, back up just real quick and show off. There's the full figure. And he looks really nice. Like I said, I tend to prefer the dinosaur legs on, on the outside of the robot mode legs, but it does kind of streamline his look down here at the bottom. Like I didn't think I would like it. Like I said, I still prefer the dinosaur legs on the outside, but I do like this legs on the inside look more than I was expecting to. So that's kind of a pleasant surprise there. So now size comparisons. We'll get them in here. Get in some other dinos, slide him back just a little bit so we can get a little bit more of him in frame. Here he is. Well, first off, here he is with MP Grimlock. And obviously, these are built at a different scale. I believe all these companies, or most of these companies, are going to be producing their own Grimlock in scale with their figures. So you should see one like that. Now, this is Grimlock without the boots that came with Scoria. With the boots with Scoria, it sets him about this tall, which height-wise makes him a little bit more in scale, but still, just in general proportions, you can see he's much smaller than SEVER. Here he is with the Iron Dibots from FansToys Soar, the Swoop, and I like that proportion. I like Swoop being a little smaller than Snarl, but they don't look out of scale with each other. It's just that Swoop's a smaller bot, and they do look very nice. The gold and silver chrome looks really nice together. And I'm not generally a big fan of chrome, but it does kind of make them pop all nice and shiny. And of course, here he is with the Gigapower Gutter. Get this guy out of here. And you can see Gutter is a much larger figure. Not to the point of ridiculousness, but he is a bigger figure. SEVER, like I said, is the heavier of the two by a few grams. He's not like massively heavier, but he is a little heavier than Gutter here. Focus on here there. But yeah, I think both of them, either one of these you choose if you're looking for a Snarl, will fit your bill. It really, like, I think if I had to choose one or the other, like just absolutely forced at gunpoint, you can keep one of these, or you can only keep one of these or die. I think I'd still want Gutter. I think that'd be my personal preference. But if you're already collecting the FansToys line, or if there's just some aesthetic thing you prefer, either one of these are great figures. These are both some really nice versions of Snarl. And again, if you know anything about me, you know I'm a big Snarl fan. Both of these are great. So I think whichever one you choose, you're not going to regret your choice. So it's entirely up to you. Like I said, I think I'd go with Gutter myself personally if I absolutely was forced to choose between the two of them. But having them both here in front of me, I'm twice as happy. They're both really nice renditions of Snarl. The FansToys one, of course, while having some of the toy detailing on it, tends to skew more towards animation accurate, where Gutter's a lot more of a updated G1 toy. So it's really up to you what you prefer. Both solid, both cool. Really awesome to check this guy out. There is FansToys SEVER. Also, real quick, I realized I forgot to show off his head articulation. He does have like again, kind of a universal joint system. He's got an up and down hinge on his neck as well as a swivel here. So you can get him to look, he can actually look up quite a bit, much more than Gutter can when comparison. So he's got a lot of range of motion in his head. You can have him look up. You can have him, again, just due to his chin and the helmet, he can't look down quite as much. But he's got a nice range of motion in his head as well.